Habs lose a tough one in overtime, losing 5-4 to the Toronto Maple Leafs in their season opener. And we give you our early season predictions for the standings in the North Division. We're joined with Jake Legault, but you're going to hear with more of him after the intro. Roll it!
I want Iguodala.
Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home.
Hockey is back. The NHL season has started today, January 13th, and the Montreal Canadiens played the Toronto Maple Leafs, losing, was it 4-3?
5-4.
5-4
in overtime.
5-4 in overtime. OT winner by Morgan Riley. There was a lot of good things that we saw from the Montreal Canadiens, a lot of things that could be fixed. And I just wanted I wanted your opinions on that. I'll talk myself later on, but I want you guys to go first.
Yeah, well, for me, I think the Habs this offseason did a good job on getting good defense. Obviously, last year defense was a big concern. And I think getting that Romanov and Edmondson, getting Romanov up there, and he looked really good today, I'd say.
He did.
As well, Edmondson, he didn't look anything special, but he's a huge upgrade to who you would have or something.
Yeah.
So I like what they did with the D.
Yeah, and also on forward, the forwards today were amazing. Like compared to how they played last year, Suzuki, incredible. Suzuki, this kid's
superstar in the making.
Yeah. And then Josh Anderson, we can go on about him. Probably talk more about him. You guys want to talk about it?
Yeah. What I was looking at, you mentioned Suzuki, and I think Suzuki's going to take a huge step this year. Obviously, that line Suzuki, Anderson, hold on. Sorry. That line Suzuki and Anderson and Drouin, it really looked like that was their first line. I know Danault, Gallagher, and Tatar, they're the line that's going to be put against the other team's best players, like a Crosby or in this case, a John Tavares that we saw. But that Suzuki line for me is their number one line. Suzuki had a goal and assist. Josh Anderson had 2 goals. It seems like their chemistry right away is working really well. Hopefully that line can also get a guy like Jonathan Drouin back in the mix, back to his old Tampa Bay Lightning self, but we'll see. Was there anything else that you guys saw on the team? I know there's a lot of things, but you guys had your own ideas.
Well, Tyler Toffoli had some good. Go on.
Yeah, well, I just want to say more on Anderson. I think I was a little uncertain about getting Anderson for Domi because Domi obviously proved to have a 70-point season, right, with the Habs. But Josh Anderson really played really well. He was driving the offense down the boards. Always, he was doing the transitions and the entries. Yeah. I found he was also
really fast.
Physical too. Yeah, his speed surprised me. I was not expecting that kind of speed.
I think that was the big thing Canadians was last year. They had speed, but they were missing physicality, and a lot of teams were able to bully them like that. But now this year they have the speed and the physicality.
Exactly. And Josh Anderson's a scorer. Like his first thing is scoring. He had a 27-goal season 2 years ago too.
Hopefully he can return to that with 2 goals on the board.
I also think that I think physicality is going to be a huge thing in this division, with most of the teams being big, talent teams, right? Then you got Calgary, who's huge, like Matthew Tkachuk, Zach Ronaldo, and Milan Lucic, like big guys like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough division this year. One thing I liked a lot was the minutes that Romanov was allocated and where he was playing. He was kind of playing everywhere. He played with Brett Kulak, and sometimes he was playing with Petrie, Weber. He played the power play. He was on the first unit playing the point. He was kind of controlling the point down there and being the quarterback. And you had him on the penalty kill too. That I was really surprised too. His first NHL game, and he's put on the penalty kill against the very lethal Toronto Maple Leafs power play. I think Claude Julien's trying to tell him that he trusts him, and by doing so, he's giving him that extra time. And I don't think this kid's going anywhere. I think he's sticking around for the full season. So that's gonna be exciting.
Like he's a really good skater. This guy, he's always moving his stick, and like I remember he had like a good deflection from the net. Like
good pass to Tatar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Romanov, he's just an electric player to watch. I find like he was just everywhere. and he was very confident, which is another thing. Like, I don't know if you guys saw on the power play in the first
Yeah,
period,
the
I
blue
think.
line.
At the blue line there, the
Yeah.
last guy back, and
Yeah.
he made it through, and that's not something that you see rookies do a lot. So
Yeah, I think you make a good point where you said he looked really confident. I think a lot of people, what they tend to forget is Romanov played 2 seasons in the KHL, and so this guy, he's not really a rookie. He's playing. He was playing with men, and now he's going to be playing with men here in the NHL. And so I think he has the skill set for it, and he's been training in the KHL. Early on 2 years ago, so I think that's going to transition well over in the NHL.
And he was also in the bubble during last year. No, he was in the bubble training with the
he was
the team.
just training.
So he had some good like reps there. So that helped a lot. You can tell, very poised.
I think he'll be able to. I think he'll make a push for the Calder this year. I think if his defensive game stays how it is,
Definitely a dark horse. Yeah,
I think he's a dark horse. Exactly, not a front runner, but for sure he could put up some points.
One thing, of course, that we saw was the Montreal power play unit. And I wrote it down. We saw Gallagher, Josh Anderson, Kotkaniemi, Tatar, and Romanov. That was the first unit they threw out there at the beginning of the season. So that was their first unit. There was one thing I really liked from the power play was that it was Gallagher and Anderson. It was a thing you saw from the Leafs practice video that Sportsnet showed, is that Gallagher would transition into the front of the net, right, like he normally does, but then sometimes he would come off of it and go into the upper slot, and Josh Anderson would then switch into the front of the net. Something we saw with Thor and Wayne Simmons, where they kind of just transition going in front of the net and one stays in the slot. So that's something that's exciting, because we know the Montreal power play has been atrocious for a few years now, and they're kind of trying to find some life. And if Josh Anderson's 2 goals is a sign of something, then maybe him in that high slot taking shots could be a good thing for him.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think Anderson he just played phenomenal today. I was very surprised by his game.
Yeah. Are we gonna talk about there's a couple of mistakes like Weber, that penalty cost us a goal.
Yeah. Obviously
that was a bad
discipline's a huge thing for the Montreal Canadiens, and
especially against all the talent in the division.
Yeah.
Like there's so many good power plays in there, and it's gonna
you can't afford those.
Even Ottawa's power play isn't that bad looking with the talent they have.
Yeah. And even though Montreal, because of the expansion of the bubble, technically shouldn't have made the playoffs, one thing that people tend to forget about them is they're a really good 5-on-5 team. They're really underrated 5-on-5 team. And we saw that against the Leafs. They were really dominant against the Leafs for about 2 periods and a half until the Leafs kind of took over later in the third. But if they can get their power play working on top of their 5-on-5 play, they can roll 4 lines pretty much that can score, then I think the Montreal Canadiens could make a push for that top spot against Toronto, but time will have to tell. But yeah, 5-on-5 is something. I think they're one of the best 5-on-5 teams in that division.
Yeah,
so you can kind of compare Montreal to that Columbus team from last year too. Like very the team that beat Toronto, a lot of depth, like just great grind players. Like not that many. There's some skilled players, but not that many. But mostly grit and grind. And that's how Columbus.
How many teams can afford to say that? Oh, we'll have Tyler Toffoli on our third line. Not a lot can say.
Not only that, but also with the roster they have built, they can with the packed schedule, right? For me, I'm expecting some injuries to happen more than other seasons.
Yeah.
I think that the Habs are a team that can afford to take injuries because they have players that can go up and down the lineup every night.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes them so dangerous and so lethal every night.
I think you make a great point that there's going to be a lot of hockey games to play, and you don't have a lot of days off. So you might play, 3 and 4 nights or 4 and 7 nights. And I think that I was looking at the time played for the Leafs, and there was a question there I had: are the Leafs going to burn out? That Austin Matthews is playing 24 minutes, Mitch Marner's playing 25 minutes, Morgan Riley's playing 28 minutes. You can't afford those guys are going to get tired really easily if they keep playing those type of big minutes. And then you look at the Habs, and their top line Suzuki 18 minutes, Gallagher 18 minutes. It's very balanced because they're able to roll 4 lines the whole game.
Yeah. Did Arturi didn't play? Did he play? Maybe
he played a bit.
Yeah,
he played a bit.
But he's on that taxi squad they call it. I don't know.
Arturi Lehkonen?
Lehkonen was playing.
No, Lehkonen's on.
No, him, Corey, that taxi. like the players that go from AHL to NHL. So they're on like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
the
Corey
tax spot,
Perry,
yes, Corey Perry,
Artur-
Michael Frolik
yeah.
are on that, but
Yeah.
Terry Lekkonen's not on it.
Jake Evans, is he?
No, they're playing.
Evans was playing.
So
It
those
was
guys-
Evans, Byron, and Lekkonen, right?
And Lekkonen, which is, you know, you had Paul Byron who once scored 20 goals,
Yeah.
and a Terry Lekkonen who scored 18 in his rookie. Hopefully, you know, he can
Puts everything
transition
together.
into an offensive player. He should have been, but I think Michel Therrien years ago really, like, you know, scared him into becoming a defensive type player.
he's a
and
good
now
defensive
he's
player.
great
He's good.
defensively, but
Yeah.
he kind of missed that offensive touch that we saw from his first season. But that's a good fourth line. You got a guy like
Very good.
Terry Lekkonen. You know, Jake Evans did great in the playoffs. Not Michel Therrien. Claude Julien liked a lot of what he saw. He said
His
that I expect
face-offs,
him
yeah.
to run our fourth line. And then you have Paul Byron who once scored 20 goals. So I think, you know, there's a lot of early exaggerations to make about the Montreal Canadiens. It was a good game. I think they played 5-on-5. I think it's just the penalties is what killed them. And, you know, if you want to talk about the overtime, so the Leafs have some really good players they could throw on there. Well, I didn't really understand why Philip Deneau got 2 shifts in overtime instead of Nick Suzuki. I guess that, you know, he's very defensive minded, Claude Julien, when it comes to OT, which I don't really like. I feel like you got to throw out your big skilled players right away, because that's what the Leafs are going to do. And
Also,
go ahead.
Suzuki was playing the penalty kill too, eh?
I
think I saw Suzuki out there in the third period for the PK.
Maybe. I know Austin Matthews for the Leafs was on the PK, which was weird to see.
I don't like, especially against Weber.
Yeah, I don't
He was right
they
there.
said Weber's the only guy that could probably injure them, and I don't know why you take the risk to put your star player. I don't like.
Yeah.
No, maybe not. Keep him off the PK, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
What'd you guys think of that first line there, Matthews, Marner, and Joe Thornton? You guys expect Thornton to stick around?
No.
Definitely not.
No, he was too slow.
No.
He was
Yeah.
way
Too
too
slow.
slow.
Yeah.
You could
slow.
easily see that guy could not keep up with the
Definitely,
Matthews and
yeah.
Marner. Even couldn't keep up with the Montreal Canadiens players. And
Yeah,
I expect him to not stay there.
Yeah, I think a very underrated Leafs piece is Ilya Mikheyev.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
He doesn't get enough recognition, but even last year, I was a huge fan of him. I think he's just a great player, and I think he could make a good step forward and go play with them, and I think that would be a phenomenal line. Or Zach Hyman, obviously.
It was weird that on the power play they didn't put him on. They put Jason Spezza instead. They had like Nylander,
They split
Hyman,
them up.
and then they had Jason Spezza, which I didn't really understand. I really thought Mikheyev was going to be on that unit. Hopefully,
he was playing well. He was playing good.
Yeah,
he got that breakaway. He got that breakaway. Oh no, like no, it wasn't a breakaway, but it was like almost.
Yeah.
Kind of.
People forget that he took a pay cut, so the Leafs could, you know, hold their cap and keep it organized, and you know, then you're not throwing this guy on the power play. You're electing to go with Jason Spezza instead.
Oh yeah, they also paid like $5 million to TJ Brody, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, TJ Brody was a good addition. I don't think he played that
good.
great of a game.
I don't think he's worth that money, but
Well, time will tell. I just don't think he had the best
He's a
game.
good top
I think
4D.
Morgan Riley really shined on that line, playing 28 minutes, obviously. But in the end, Habs lose. 5-4.
Unlucky.
Yeah.
5-4. I keep forgetting.
Yeah,
it's
it's
5-4.
5-4 in overtime. But also, I want to say, I wasn't too sure on the Leafs game plan of separating that power play. Like they had Matthews, Marner on one, and then Tavares and Nylander on the other. Obviously, it worked, but I just don't understand why they would like separate a stacked power play, like one of the best in the league.
Yeah, well, I think they tried that. I remember with Babcock when they had Nazem Kadri, they just totally stacked that power play, and then eventually I don't think it worked out for them, and they split it. I think
they're definitely they're trying to create depth for sure.
I'd probably just split it too.
Yeah, they split it too.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I just thought the Mikheyev thing was interesting. So in the end, Montreal loses 5-4 in overtime. They head out west Canada to play the Oilers and then the Canucks, which should be a tough road trip. Obviously, always going to the west is tough. So we'll just have to see if they can continue that 5-on-5 play. I think that'll give them great success. But enough about that game. Let's talk about the rest of the North Division, or what was it, the Scotiabank North Division? What is it called?
Yeah, I think it's
Scotiabank.
Scotiabank Division, whatever.
Canadian Division, yeah.
Canadian teams made a lot of acquisitions in the offseason. Some people lost key pieces. Some others got key pieces. I want to go through those acquisitions, and then I want your opinions on where you guys think the standings will look like at the end of the season. So if we start with, of course, Montreal, they got Josh Anderson, Joel Edmondson, Tyler Toffoli, Jake Allen are the notable ones. Flames got Markstrom, they got Chris Tanev on the point. Toronto, of course, got TJ Brody, Wayne Simmons, Thornton, and guys like Jimmy Vesey and Bogosian.
Wayne Simmons
Yeah.
today
He played well.
Like even that fight is what they needed him for. That was his point, and I think it's a good addition.
Simmons said that he was gonna fight and he was gonna make a physical impact on the Leafs, and he sure did his first game against Ben Sherrod.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Oilers pick up Tyson Barrie, a good signing, I think, in my opinion. Kyle Turris to hold their third line. Canucks lose to Foley, but they get Holtby, Schmidt, they get Travis Hamonic, and the Sens. The Sens obviously want to be a thorn in Canadian teams, so they pick up Dadonov, Matt Murray, and they get Alex Galchenyuk and others too. And the Jets get Paul Stastny was their notable free agent acquisitions. After hearing all those acquisitions, sorry, my Siri keeps turning on. After hearing all those acquisitions, what is your prediction for the North Division?
Are we gonna go in order here?
Yeah,
just list our list. Okay, I'm gonna list my list right here. So I think Leafs are gonna be first, Oilers second, Flames third, Habs, Canucks, Jets, and then Senators last.
Is there a reason why you put them in that order?
So to start off, Leafs.
Yeah,
I believe
I think we all can agree we have the Leafs on our number one, right?
Yeah, and if they don't finish first, everyone's getting fired. That would be terrible.
Basically, there's way too much money put into this, way too much stress. Like the Toronto fans, so much pressure put on them. Like they have to succeed.
They have everything they need. They have the grit, like a bit of grit. They don't have all of it. They have extreme talent, and they have the old guys, the veterans.
But they just got to perform under pressure. Like I don't know. I feel like in the playoffs, like their team is, I don't know. They just get scared. They don't get scared, but they just
I just think they get out physical. Their physical game wasn't there. Now they added pieces like Wayne Simmons, Joe Thornton, TJ Brody on the point.
Yeah.
I think now they got physical. We'll see though, but I still think for now they're the same Leafs that lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets in my eyes.
Yeah.
But so who'd you have second? Edmonton.
Edmonton. You guys have Edmonton second?
No, I don't.
I
don't.
Who do you have? Calgary?
I'll get to my picks. Why do you have Edmonton?
Just finish.
Okay, so Edmonton second. Well, McDavid, Draisaitl. They also they got
Tyson Barrie, Kyle
Turris as their third line.
Yeah. Jesse Puljujarvi's back with the team.
Puljujarvi's back. I don't know. Yamamoto is getting better.
Yeah.
And Nugent Hopkins had a breakout season last year, so I think they're gonna be second. They have good D's, good forwards, and Koskinen's a reliable goaltender.
Is he though? Well, we'll see though.
I don't
see if he's reliable. Him and Mike Smith. We'll see. We'll see. I think their biggest thing.
Compare him to what's up?
I think the biggest thing for me is that the biggest thing that the Oilers needed was a goalie, and they tried to get Jacob Markstrom, and that fell through. And then now they're stuck with Koskinen and Mike Smith. I don't think
I kind of see Koskinen as a Hudobin kind of goalie,
didn't have as good as a season as Khudobin, but
Hudobin didn't do anything in the regular. He only pulled up in the playoffs, so I don't know. I
kind of see the playoffs and carried them to the finals.
The finals, yeah. I don't know.
Anyway,
I've always liked Koskinen.
What do you have third? Who do you have third?
Third, I have the Flames. So obviously Markstrom, one of the probably top 10 goalies in the league, I'd say.
Okay. Easily.
And also I think Goudreau's gonna have a bounce back season. Monahan too. Kachuk's getting better. Elias Lindholm is good. They just have a good team. A lot of depth, like Sam Bennett, all those players.
And who do you have fourth?
I have the Habs. We just
went
on a whole segment.
So the Habs make the playoffs. Let's get one thing straight, which we didn't address, is that this is a sports channel, and obviously, as you could tell, very Habs favorite. But these two guys, Jake's camera just cut. These two guys are not actual Habs fans. They're not.
Nope.
They weren't raised properly, and they chose different teams for some odd reason. But anyway, you have Montreal fourth.
Yeah.
Fifth. Who's not making the playoffs?
So I think Canucks aren't making playoffs.
Yeah.
But they might, because the Canucks have they have Demko and Nets, even Hobie as a backup. They have they just have
Hobie's
good players.
most likely going to start.
Demko plays so well in the playoffs.
I know, but I think Holtby,
Yeah, but they have
Demko's
Holtby
young.
starting.
I think their plan is, ride Holtby for they sign him for 4 years.
I don't remember the contract.
I think it was 4. I think it's too long. I think it should have been like a
I don't think it was.
deal.
I think it was 2. I think it was a 2. I don't think
it was shorter than 4 because actually I'll look it up here.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I think Demko's like he's like under 25. Like he's super young goalie, like so much potential. Played super well under pressure. So I think they should start him. They lost Chris Tanev, who I thought was a big loss. Chris Tanev was always like one of those defensemen like you want on your team.
Yeah.
But Quinn Hughes is getting better, so that will help them. Elias Pettersson's getting better.
Well, they lost Tyler Toffoli as well.
Tyler Toffoli, but.
Yeah. Also, it was a 2-year contract for 8.6.
2 years. Okay, that's what it was. So that's a good contract because I think they're gonna play Holtby those 2 years and then
get
Demko will be their starter.
But
and
yeah,
you have was it 6
7.
now?
So
7?
no,
No,
yeah,
6.
6. No, 6. I have Canucks, and then 7th I have the Jets.
Ottawa.
Jake's team.
No, you're missing up.
Oh yeah, my bad. That's on me. That's on me.
No,
That's on me.
6. You have the Jets.
Yeah, on me. 6. I got the Jets. I don't. The Jets. They could low key be like a top 3 team though. If you think about it, like they have one
It's
of the
either top 3 or miss the playoffs. I think for
exactly.
The Jets.
So they have a top 3 goalie in the league in Connor Hellebuck, like very consistent goalie.
Yeah.
Their decor is they have Josh Morrissey, Neil Pionk, Villa Heinola.
Heinola's not playing yet.
Oh, he's not?
Well, he's on the taxi squad, but
okay.
Go look for some.
Their forwards don't show up in the playoffs, so that's the only thing. Like they'll put up big numbers in the regular season and then the playoffs first round exit. Like don't tell me they play well in the playoffs. Injuries too though.
First round exit.
St. Louis.
Yeah,
St. Louis. And then they lost
last year
to Calgary.
But they got Scheifele and Liney out, man. And
anyway, this isn't a debate to this. And then, of course, you have Ottawa last. No need to explain that. I'll go on my list. Of course, I have Toronto first. I think Toronto's top 6 firepower is just better than everyone else's in this division. I would think it's embarrassing if they don't finish first.
Yeah.
Because they should, because they're expecting to make a deep playoff run. Second, I have the Montreal Canadiens. I think the Montreal Canadiens, with what they added, I think now they make their team even deeper. The deepest team in that division. With guys like Toffoli playing the third line, Josh Anderson now looking like he can get back to his 27 goal self, and of course they added a very important piece, which people tend to forget with all the forward additions, is Jake Allen. You'll hear a lot, Carey Price with Jake Allen now giving him breaks and time off, which is huge because that's instead of playing 70, 80, 90% of the games like Carey Price is used to, now he could play, 70%. And Jake Allen will have a bigger load, so he could be fresh for playoffs, Montreal. I think on D with Romanov, it gets them a puck-moving defenseman that they've needed ever since they lost Subban. Joel Edmondson is another just physical guy, big guy that makes their defense core bigger and stronger and harder to play against. And I think that's really important with the Montreal Canadiens because that was one thing they were lacking last year was physicality, and now they got that. And we already know they were a great 5-on-5 team, which is what we saw last year. Yeah. I think they're going to be even better 5-on-5 team. So I have them second. And third, I have Calgary for what you said, Markstrom, top 10 goal in the league.
Yeah.
I also think they're going to have a turnaround season, Goudreau and Monahan and Lindholm, that line. So I put them third. I have Edmonton fourth, of course, with McDavid and Draisaitl. They're expecting to make the playoffs. And obviously their bottom 6 forwards, if, those two don't produce, their bottom 6 forwards kind of don't do anything, and that's how they tend to lose games. But I still have a question mark over Koskinen and Mike Smith. I know they wanted Jacob Markstrom. They missed out on him. So it's a big question mark for them. I think they'll be fine, and that's why I got them at number 4. So those teams, in my opinion, are the teams that will be making playoffs. Yeah. And of course, I have 5. I have the Jets. I think Jets still have one of the best top 6 in the league with those 2 lines. I think the biggest thing is their defensive core is going to let them down. Guys like Josh Morrissey is a good defenseman. Neil Pionk was a point getter last season. Who else do they have?
Derek Forbert, Beaulieu.
Beaulieu was he on the second unit? Like Nathan Beaulieu, like
Dylan
Montreal fans
DeMello.
know Nathan Beaulieu not
I'm
very
not a
good
big
in his
fan
own
of-
zone.
Yeah, not a big fan of Beaulieu either. I
So
think
who was
Dylan-
it? And then it's and then
He's
who they re-signed? Dylan
Dylan DeMello. Yeah,
Dylan DeMello.
he's pretty good.
Okay. So yeah, I think the defense is going to be the Jets' biggest problem because they give up a lot of shots, and that's why Connor Hellebuck was in the Vezina contention. That's why he won it. Is because he had a lot of shots and he performed and he made the saves and he had a good save percentage because of it. But can he do it again this year? I don't know. It's kind of hard to replicate a Vezina season. And the Jets, they lost to the Calgary Flames, not even in the playoffs in the preliminary round. So I don't know. That's why those were my concerns. Defense core, and can Connor Hellebuck replicate what he did? After the Jets, I had the Canucks. Some people put the Canucks above the Jets. I think the Canucks, they lost Tanev. They lost Jacob Markstrom. They lost Stetcher. They lost Tyler Toffoli. I think their team got worse, not better. So I'm going to I think the Jets will do better than them this season. So I'm going to put the Canucks there. And then, of course, I have Ottawa dead last. I think Ottawa's going to be a tough team to play against, obviously. But no, are they good enough to make it into the top four? No. Will they play spoilers? Definitely. And hopefully not against the Habs, but they're going to be a thorn in Canadian teams.
But they have Matt Murray, so they might have a good seat. Like he'll save a lot of shots. So
yeah, but Matt Murray didn't even do good on the Pittsburgh Penguins last season, and now you're on a worse team.
But we can't forget he's only like 25, 26. He's still a young, relatively young.
He hasn't returned to a Stanley Cup
with some good experience, but I don't think he's going to do better than he did with Pittsburgh.
I don't think he's going to return to that form with Ottawa now.
No?
Not this season. This season. No.
I don't think you lose that. Just
their
like
defense core is not that good besides Shabbat.
From being prospects.
Yeah, and their bottom six forwards are just a bunch of young guys and grizzled up vets.
Well, they still have like that. They have Dadonov in their top.
Yeah, Dadonov's playing first line though, not bottom six.
Connor Brown's
Brady
there.
Tkachuk's going to take another step. I know that. He's going to take another step.
Yeah.
But that team, everyone has them coming dead last, and
Fair.
I think we know why. But anyway, that's my list. Jake, what about you?
Okay, so obviously, like you guys, I have Toronto into 1. No question. They're the best team on paper. Top 5 team in the league, no question. At 2, I have Calgary. So I think Calgary, Jacob Markstrom is a phenomenal goalie, and that's what Calgary was missing. And I think their D is phenomenal as well. Very strong D core. So I think having that in front of Markstrom, and then you have some bounce back seasons from guys like Gaudreau and Monahan and Lindholm, I think they're in for a really good year. And I wouldn't be surprised if they came first, honestly. If Toronto had if there was a team to take over first, I think it's Calgary.
Okay.
Then at 3, I have Montreal. Montreal just obviously like a crazy depth, and we already talked about them. At 4, this is where I have Edmonton. So Edmonton, their goaltending is still weak. Their defense is still not. It's not defensive minded. It's more of an offensive minded defense. But their offense is obviously still strong. So I think they'll be getting a lot of goals this season, just lacking on the defensive end. At 5, I have Winnipeg. Winnipeg, they address their second line center with Stastny. And I think Stastny with Line and Ehlers, that line, when they were together back in 2018, they were really good. And they got most of the points for the team as after January 1st.
Yep.
They didn't really get much on defense. There's still, I think next year's the Jets here, but for now I have the Jets at 5. Then at 6, I have Vancouver. Vancouver just lost their top goalie, their Vezina, a Vezina potential goalie. They did get Nate Schmidt, but they still lost Chris Tanev, so nothing really changes there. Yeah. And then they lose on offense, and I think it'll rely heavily on Braden Holtby because that's why goaltending was the reason why they made it so far last year. So I think it's all on goaltending for where they vary in the standings.
Yeah, a lot of questions with the Canucks. Can Braden Holtby, return to that Stanley Cup, winning year he had, or is he going to be the Braden Holtby from last year that got outpaced by Ilya Samsonov for starts?
Yeah.
A lot of questions on that team, and then of course you have Ottawa last.
Yeah.
No
With
big
but I
deal.
think Stutzla will have. I think he'll win the Calder this year if it's not.
You
for
you
Kaprizov.
think he's going with the Calder?
No, Lafreniere.
I think it's Kaprizov. Kaprizov is my number one, then Stutzla at number two.
Or even what's his name? The New York, Shesterkin.
Yeah.
It's easy for goalies to win if they play like a bunch of games and they
which
they
he should. He's meant to be. I mean, he will split with Georgiev, but I think he should get more starts. Shesterkin.
But I feel like
could be a team to watch.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I feel like you guys are overrating the Montreal Canadiens a bit here. I don't know. A bit, just after one game,
whoa.
I don't know. The team looks good, but I don't know how.
I just
okay. Where do you think their problems are?
I feel like they're a better playoff team, which is good than a regular season team.
But I just think it's a team with no holes. They have nowhere that a team is going to be look to attack. Like they have nowhere to they have holes.
And they have no Xavier Ouellette anymore.
And I think they're going to lose. They lost this game is because they lost to, obviously the discipline, but again, they lost to superstar talent like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Montreal doesn't have that superstar. Nick Suzuki, maybe he's transitioning to becoming that superstar, but right now they don't have that superstar player. They just have good depth on the team. Their right wing depth is one of the best in the league. And I think, like Jake said, I don't think it's a team with holes. I just think that, the games they're going to end up losing are because they're going to get edged out by guys like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Austin Matthews, Elias Pettersson, guys that could just pop off, get a hat trick like that. And hopefully it's not on the penalty kill. Like we said, Montreal Canadiens have to be disciplined this season, especially in this division.
I also think, just to add, this is just on Pettersson. I think Pettersson could win the Hart this year. I think this is his.
You think he's gonna have a season
step of a year where he goes just unreal, beast mode.
I don't think, but no, I feel like Pettersson is. I feel like he's always gonna be like a point per game player. I don't think because he has to put on muscle. Like you can't you can score as many goals as you want. Just nice knives, but you still gotta play physical a bit at some point.
I mean. But he has the skills that he doesn't need it. He has the skills to make up for it.
Yeah, but David Pastrnak is not a physical player. And all he does is shoot the puck on the power play. And he's obviously superstar talent, but he's not. I don't think I think the NHL's changing. I don't think you need.
But he's not 100, 60, 170, 80 pounds.
Sure, you can gain 15 pounds, but
I
think that's why he got dropped so much in that. He should have went first in that draft year, but he got looked on because of his size. And I think a lot of teams regret that. And I think moving forward in drafts, teams are going to, be more, progressive when picking guys that are short, like Cole Caulfield with Montreal. I think he dropped. He should have gone top 10 in that draft. He
was projected fifth, I think, or sixth.
And he dropped to 15th, I think, because people were scared of his size. And obviously, he's proving them wrong now. That we saw in the World Juniors and college, he's putting up crazy points.
Yeah, and Eric, I also think that this is right now we're in the NHL where it's more skill than grit. It used to be grit was over everything, right? But I think now that's why guys like Lucic are.
But physicality is still important. Let's not overlook
that.
Yeah, on a
of course.
team.
I'm just saying that skill is what makes what helps more than grit.
You're either gonna build a team around superstars, or you're gonna build a team like Montreal builds it. And we have the speed, but we need to get bigger because we don't have a guy like Connor McDavid to carry our offense.
Okay, but I'm thinking if your best player is Pettersson and he's just pure skill, I don't know how you have to build around that. If you can build around that and have grip,
you got a bigger guy on his line, maybe.
Yeah, Bor Horvats and Jake Virtanen.
Tyler Toffoli was a great addition from the Canucks, and they probably wanted to re-sign him, but they didn't. A lot of Canucks fans were angry about that. He's a big guy, he's 6 feet, but he's robust, and he could, he was a great addition on the what line did he play on?
He played for Vancouver or the
Toffoli was it?
Toffoli,
Tanner Pearson and
Bo Horvat.
Bo Horvat or something.
No, he was Bo. Yeah, it was that Bo Horvat line. And yeah, he was a great addition to that forward group, and they probably didn't want to lose him, but they did to Montreal.
Yeah, that's kind of when they took off, when they got.
Yeah. But anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. The time looks right. We talked about the Canadians, our early season predictions. Next episode, obviously the NFL divisional playoff games we'll be talking about. So get excited for that. The first time. Thank you for listening to the Chtib Zhang show. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.